Some houses forget. Some houses move on, but not this one. For nearly 20 years, the townhouse on Birch Lane stood untouched, abandoned, not by time, but by tragedy. Locals whispered about the fire, about the screams, about the mother who never made it out. They said the floor swallowed her. They said she never truly left. So when Emily Rowan returned to the quiet little street in search of a new beginning, she thought she had simply found a cheap home. She didn't know she was coming back to the place that had been waiting for her. Since childhood, she didn't remember the tapping. She didn't remember the voice calling her name. She didn't remember what she left behind beneath the floorboards. But the house remembered. The house always remembered. And the moment the first storm hit, something beneath the living room stirred awake, hungry, grieving, and desperate to be freed. What Emily thought was a new chapter was actually the final page she left unfinished. Townhouse on Birch Lane. The street looked almost abandoned. The lamps flickered with a tired yellow glow. The wind rattled against rusted mailboxes, and the edges of the road seemed to dissolve into the dark forest beyond. It was quiet here, too. Quiet. Emily stepped out of her car and stared at the house she would now call home. It was old. Early 1900s maybe, weather-worn siding, windows, a porch that creaked under the weight of nothing. She rubbed her arms as a cold breeze brushed her skin. This is temporary, she whispered to herself, just a fresh start, a new beginning. The breakup had shattered her more than she wanted to admit. She didn't want to stay in the city anymore. Too many memories, too many reminders. When she found this townhouse for a price that was almost suspiciously cheap, she took it without thinking twice. Inside the house smelled like dust and pine, like wood that hadn't seen light for years. The living room was small but comfortable, with old cabinets built into the walls and creaking wooden floors. Her footsteps echoed as she walked through, but something felt off. The house felt like it was listening. She shook the thought away. Just nerves, she muttered. Just being stupid. Still, as she unpacked that night, Emily couldn't shake the sensation that the silence around her was too thick, like the house was holding its breath. On her third night, the storm hit. It started as gentle rain tapping the windows, then escalated into a violent downpour, accompanied by thunder that rolled like cannon fire. The lights flickered twice, went out, came back, then finally died completely. Great, she thought. A blackout. She lit a candle on the coffee table and sat on the sofa, trying to distract herself with a book. The storm outside boomed again, rattling the walls. Then she heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Emily froze. It wasn't from the windows, not from the walls. It came from beneath her. She leaned forward slightly, candlelight trembling, listening intently. Tap, tap, tap. A pattern. Slow, purposeful. Probably pipes, she whispered, though her voice wavered. But deep inside, something told her it wasn't just the house shifting. She lowered herself onto the floor, pressing her ear to the cold wood. At first, she heard nothing. Then, a whisper, faint, trembling, muffled, but unmistakably human. Me. Emily's breath vanished. Her skin prickled. She jerked away from the floor so violently, she knocked over the candle, extinguishing it. Darkness swallowed the room. No, she muttered, scrambling for her phone. No, I didn't hear that. I didn't. But her heart knew she had. The next morning, after the storm cleared, Emily tried to act normal. She made coffee, opened the curtains, let the sunlight in, and pretended nothing had happened. But the moment she stepped into the living room, the memory of that whisper stabbed into her mind. Help me. She forced herself to inspect the floor. Maybe an animal was trapped under there. Maybe it had just been the wind. Maybe. Then she saw the floorboard. A single plank near the center of the room was lifted just a hair, a small gap visible along its edge. She touched it gently. The wood felt colder than the rest. Her stomach tightened. Later that night, another storm rolled in, weaker, but enough to unsettle her already anxious mind. She left the TV on, anything to drown out the silence. But silence wasn't the problem anymore. At 2:47 a.m., the tapping returned. Tap, tap, tap. She sat up straight in bed, every nerve in her body alert. Not again, she whispered. But it was louder this time, more desperate. She slipped out of bed, crept down the hall, and slowly peeked into the living room. The floorboard was rising, higher this time. A thin line of darkness yawned from beneath, and from inside that blackness came the voice again. Please, let me out. Emily covered her mouth with her shaking hand. "No," she whispered. "No. This is not happening." Her phone flashlight trembled as she pointed it at the floor. Then, without warning, something pale slid up through the crack. A finger, thin, colorless, trembling with effort. Emily let out a strangled gasp and stumbled backward, bumping into the wall. The finger curled slowly, scraping against the wood. Another whisper escaped the crack. "Emily." Her heart stopped. It knew her name. She ran upstairs and slammed the bedroom door shut behind her. She sat on the floor, hugging her knees, listening. The house was dead silent for a full minute. Then she heard it. Floorboards ripping, wood cracking, something pulling itself free. Emily grabbed her dresser and shoved it against the door. Her breath came in sharp, panicked bursts. "This isn't real," she whispered. "This isn't real." But the footsteps approaching the stairs, slow, heavy, wet. They began climbing. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. Closer. She held her breath, tears streaming down her face. The footsteps stopped on the landing. Then, tap tap, the same pattern. The knocking came from the other side of her bedroom door. "Go away," Emily whispered. The creature's voice slipped through the wood like a cold fog. "Emily, open the door." The doorknob twisted violently. Emily screamed and pressed her back against the dresser. The creature hissed, "Let me out." The dresser shook as something slammed into it. Once, twice. On the third hit, the bottom drawer cracked open. She looked around desperately for something, anything, to defend herself with. Then she noticed a cardboard box half buried in the closet. A box labeled Rowan Family 1987. Her family name. Hands trembling, she opened it. Newspapers, old photos, burned scraps of wood, and on top, a headline that punched her lungs empty. "Local woman trapped in house fire. Body never recovered. 8-year-old daughter survives." Emily read it 3 times, each word sinking deeper and deeper, like ice into her veins. Her childhood home, her mother's death, this house. It wasn't new to her. It was the same place she had lived when she was a child. The same house that had burned, the same floor her mother had been trapped under. The memory returned. Suddenly, a memory she had buried so deeply, it felt foreign. The sound at night, when she was young. The tapping, the crying. Her mother, calling from beneath the collapsing floor. And Emily, terrified, too. Scared to move, too. Scared to help, had run outside screaming. Her mother never made it out. She had died calling her daughter's name, calling for help, calling from beneath the floor. The tapping outside the door stopped. Silence returned. Then, a soft whisper, full of grief. "You left me." Emily sobbed, her tears dripping onto the newspaper in her hands. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I was just a child. I didn't know." The dresser jolted violently. The door splintered. A pale hand burst through the wood, bloated, bruised, dripping water like it had drowned. Emily screamed as the hand groped blindly, feeling for her. She pushed herself into the corner, shaking uncontrollably. The door snapped open with a sharp crack, and the creature stepped inside. It had the shape of a woman, but its skin was gray and waterlogged, hanging in places like softened wax. Its hair was a tangled mess of ash and soot. Its eyes were swollen, milky white, staring directly at Emily. Emily's voice trembled. "Mom." The creature paused. Its head twitched, as if recognizing her. Emily stood slowly, legs shaking, breath trembling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't understand. I was scared. I didn't know you were still alive under the floor." The creature's face distorted pain, longing, grief. Its lips cracked open, releasing a sound like a choked sob. "Emily," it croaked. It reached out, trembling, hesitant. Emily, heartbreaking, stepped forward. She didn't run, didn't hide. She took her mother's decaying hands in hers. The creature trembled violently. Its body flickered like a candle flame, growing less solid, less monstrous. "I'm here," Emily whispered. "I'm not leaving you again." Her mother's voice softened to a faint whisper. "I waited so long." The creature collapsed to its knees. Its skin peeled away like dust. Its eyes softened, the white fading briefly into the warm brown Emily remembered. "Mom," Emily cried, hugging the vanishing figure. The spirit clung to her for one last moment. Then, it dissolved into gray ash. A cold breeze blew gently through the room, carrying the remnants away. The house exhaled a long, weary sigh. The storm outside weakened. Emily collapsed on the floor, crying until sleep found her. In the morning, The house felt different, lighter, brighter, peaceful. Emily made her way downstairs. The floorboard in the living room lay flat again. No cracks, no lifted edges, no sign that anything had ever pushed through. She knelt, placing her hand gently on the wood. "I hope you're free," she whispered. The air warmed around her hand, just for a moment, like someone giving a final, soft touch. Emily closed her eyes. She stayed like that for several minutes before finally standing and opening the windows. Sunlight filled the room. For the first time, the house didn't feel heavy. It felt like a place that had finally stopped waiting.